Yo, what's going on guys, your boy Max here and welcome back to another Fortnite video. So today we're going to be talking about how to end fights quickly in Fortnite. And this is actually an area I found a lot of people have been struggling with. To be honest, this is something that I think actually separates a good player from a great player. And the reason for that is if you know how to end fights quickly and just get them over and done with, you're not going to get pushed in the mid game, for example, or the end game, and you won't get third partied as often, and you'll basically just survive a whole lot more. You'll also be able to save resources like mats and also heals, because you won't have to be potting up every 2 seconds after you take peak shots, or maybe just drag the fight out for the longest time possible. And I think that ending fights quickly is definitely a top skill to have if you want to get good at this game. Now, the first and the biggest mistake that I would say that people make when trying to end fights quickly is overbuilding and just not looking for shots and trying to outbuild your opponent. While that may work sometimes, most of the time, if you're on the low ground, for example, you will never really get high ground back. If the player you're fighting is any decent at the game, then they'll just keep building up and they'll always have that advantage on you. They're always going to be 2 tiles above you, and no matter what retakes you pull off, you're basically never going to get that high ground back. And that's what I think a lot of people don't consider. So many people are out there being so flashy with their mechanics and stuff like that, that people just ignore the fact that fights can be ended in a very easy way by just focusing on your shots instead of building and trying to outbuild your opponent. And while this may sound a little bit straightforward, trust me, I've seen so many people going for the builds and not actually taking the shots when they are there for the taking. So this is something you definitely want to focus on, and try and get into playgrounds and actually do some normal 1v1 build fights and go for shots instead of building. Trust me, this may be a little bit weird at first, but when you get used to it, you're going to be looking for shots a lot more than just cranking out your retakes and waiting for your opponent to make a mistake and just shoot them down from the high ground. And talking about normal build fight 1v1s, this is actually the reason I'm not a big fan of them. I really hate dragging fights out, and that's the reason I basically don't know any retakes. All I know how to do are 90s, double floor ramp walls, and that's basically it. I usually just take fights as box fights, and that's the reason I win so many fights against players that I would literally never be able to outbuild. I mean, just take a look at some of these clips in the background in this game and try and tell me one time where I go into a build fight on purpose and try and outbuild my opponent. It just doesn't happen. I go for the kill and I don't worry about the building. But anyways, going slightly off topic here, let's come back to the focus of the video, and the next thing we're going to be moving on to is using your shotguns. Now, as you all know, shotguns are your most reliable weapons in Fortnite because there's no bloom involved in them, there's no bullet RNG to stop you from hitting your shots, and these shotguns are always going to require more skill to use, especially this new shotgun that you got to power up, the charge shotgun. I actually really like it. And Cat Acorn has actually become one of my favorite drop spots for that reason. I just go for the gold shotty and then dominate the whole game. Now, forcing shotgun fights is actually going to help you because you're going to be able to hit shots that are way harder, and you're basically going to end fights quicker that way. If you were to take a fight at an AR distance, or start sniping at your opponent and just sit behind cover, you can imagine how long that fight will take. You'll probably take a number of sniper shots, try to follow up with your AR, and then you might hit a little bit of shield off your opponent, and because they are super far from you, they're just gonna heal up while you push them. So trust me guys, going in with your shotgun is the way. Even if you're not the best at it, you will improve with time, so there's nothing to worry about. Just try and give your shotgun a go. Shotguns are always gonna be the dominant weapon in Fortnite. Literally, one pumping was the art of Fortnite until it got vaulted, but you can still one pump with the charged shotgun, and I love it. I love how this game isn't all casual in that sense, because this game isn't the most competitive, but at least there is a gun that requires just pure skill to use. This shotgun, you're not just gonna hit lucky shots with it like you would dink someone with a AR like 5 times in the head from 500 meters. You can't do that with the shotgun. You literally need to know your gun, and you need to know how to use it properly. But anyways, the next thing we're going to be talking about is piece control. Now I can't stress this enough, piece control is so important in today's game, and you definitely need to work on that if you're not the best at your piece control. The reason piece control will help you end fights quickly is because you'll have edits on your opponent, and when you have edits on your opponent, you can basically open up and exploit them. And if you've ever been in that situation where someone gets an edit on you and you just try and look for the nearest wall or ramp or floor that you can edit to protect yourself, you know that that's not the most comfortable situation you'll be put in. You're definitely gonna panic. Some people might panic a lot, and some people may barely panic because they've been put into that situation a ton of times. But we all get that little mini heart attack when someone gets an edit on us and we can't really get out. So that's the reason piece control will help you end fights quickly. And let's move on to one of the final tips. Now this tip is going to be all about starting damage. And take for example Unknown Army. This guy used to be an absolute monster with his AR and SMG when he actually played on controller before it did get nerfed. And he would pretty much secure the kill before the fight even started. He would look for the best angle on his opponent and laser him or her, and after that it was just a clean up kill with his shotgun. And that's the reason you want to start off by, you know, dealing a little bit of damage from your AR or maybe sniper or SMG, depending on how far you are from your opponent, and then follow up with your shotgun as we talked about before, because they are pretty much the hardest hitting weapons in the game. And finally, let's get onto your mechanics. Editing and aim, most importantly, not really building. As I've talked about before, building isn't going to be the main focus here, but to practice your editing and aiming mechanics you need to practice box fights or realistic fights, which are decent, but they're also a lot more focused on building than just, you know, finishing the kill. Aim trainers are also good, and you know, you can find them in multiple discords. Turtle Gang, for example, which is its Jerian server. I'm sure all of you know who that is, and just look it up and get in there and practice your aim in there. There's always people looking for aim trainer 1v1s with the, you know, the 2000 health map. I'm not entirely sure on what it's called, but that pretty much wraps it up. I hope this video was helpful, and I definitely really enjoyed making this. I think this is one of my favorite videos on the channel actually. But as I've said, the video does come to an end, and make sure you do leave a like and subscribe to the channel with notifications on to never miss another upload from your boy ever again. And before you guys go, make sure you guys are using the code MaxGamer7 in the Fortnite store if you'd like to support me and the channel at no extra cost whatsoever. But do bear in mind that the code does reset every 14 days. But with that being said, the video comes to an end, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.